तुल्यं निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिर्वोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्रचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यभिमः योगीव यस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ तत्त्वविवेकः कः? आत्मा सत्यं तदन्यत् सर्वं मिथ्येति। मिथ्येति is mithya iti. It's a combined, sandhi is mithyeti. So now we are entering into a very discriminative inquiry which leads to the knowledge. Here the inquiry on the self. Why? Because there is a confusion. And since there is a confusion, only discriminative inquiry will help, nothing else. To remove the confusion, you have to separate. You have to know what is what. That's called discriminative inquiry. And therefore, the discriminative inquiry centered on the self, which is a confused self, we want to arrive at that. What is the truth of the self? What is non-self? What is self? We want to know. And here, it has been asked here, what is the discriminative knowledge of truth? Tattva viveka kaha. What is discriminative knowledge, inquiry of the truth, which will lead to, not when you say inquiry, you will have to add the word leads to knowledge. Or you use directly, discriminative knowledge. Definite knowledge will not take place unless you do an inquiry. No knowledge would take place if you won't have an inquiry. And therefore, here it is, inquiry should be there, and that too discriminative inquiry, because something is known and something is about, one thing is known also and unknown also. Well, that's a confusion. And therefore, I am is known to me. I need not ask to my husband, or I need not ask to my wife or anybody else that I am. You prove that I am. You won't say anybody. But then I am Brahman. Oh, well, I don't know. I am all pervading. Well, I don't know. Oh, you are free from all kinds of bondages. No, I don't know. You are independent. No, I don't know. You are essence of the entire thing. You are the owner of all this. What are you talking? Are you in your senses or not? You are telling me the owner of everything? Yeah, you are owner of everything. Even White House also. Yeah. Your essence. Like the clay says, entire clay world, whatever there, says, I am the owner of everything. Can you tell? Because being essence, being the truth of every object, I can tell. Anyway, so tattva viveka atma satyam tadanyat sarvam mithya. Atma is the truth, all else other than that is mithya. Right now, mithya means apparent. And so the discriminative analysis leading to this understanding of the self is tattva viveka. And analysis should be such that it leads you to tattva. Tattva means, as I told you, essence, truth, atma, whatever you say. This word tattva I have explained you yesterday, and so now you know very well it is. What is tattva? The self is satyam, and everything other than that is mithya. Now this, and what it indicates, this sentence indicates that you have to understand two things, that's all. What? Satyam and mithya. Okay, just as I understand this thing, that it is a hard disk, I understand this thing is a paper, I understand this as a clock. Well, I understand some object as a satyam, right? Like flower, this, that, etc. Same way one object is there called satyam. No, that's not that. That's not the case. So, we are going to understand. So, I can tell you, please bring that satyam in front of me. And, well, that is not, you cannot bring anything. Means it is not an object. Like, because why he says, any word is always in a correspondence to the object. A meaningful word. And the meaning is the object. Now, if I gaga buga, if I say gaga buga, you will feel like, what is it? It's an island or something. But this is Swamiji's word, gaga buga. I should have said khaga buga. But anyway, so this, word, it's a meaningless sound. It doesn't have meaning. Means meaning is nothing but the object. It may be a name of an animal, maybe a name of an island, name of a country, anything. So a meaningful word generally indicates an object. Okay, definitely the Shastra is there and teacher is there, they use the word Satyam. Therefore there must be a corresponding object. That is why first we have to nullify that it doesn't pertain to any object. So there is no object called Satyam. Same way there is no object called Mithya also. So nobody can bring a object called Mithya. Please bring Mithya. You will feel it is something redundant. So Satya and Mithya are not objects. Then what are these words? They are the words that reveal not objects but your understanding of objects. What is meant by the understanding of objects? Suppose if you ask a question, and then we'll take an example and make you understand it. So, like this is a desk. Let's take the example of a desk itself. Is the desk a Satyam or Mithya? Let me first put the first question this. Is the desk Satyam, if I ask you this question, or is it unreal? Satyam is real. Is the desk real, Satyam, or is it unreal? And for unreal, there is a word which you should remember now, Tucham, in Sanskritam. Tucham means unreal. Satyam means real. There are two things. We won't introduce immediately word Mithya right now. So, is the desk real, Satyam, or is it unreal? Then, you will, it's real, you say. How do you say the desk is real? This is a second question. Oh, it is existent. It is existent. And Tucham means unreal, means what? Non-existent. So I say desk is Satyam because it is existent. And man's horn is Tucham because it is non-existent. This is my understanding. That's what disciple tells to a teacher. That I define Satyam in terms of that it is existent. And so that for me, the desk is Satyam. Desk is real. So desk is Satyam, when you say that, you are talking about the reality of the desk. Right? When you say Satyam, real, means you are talking about the reality of the desk. And then I ask you whether it is existent or not. You say, yes, it is existent. That is why I am telling it is Satyam. Okay. Then it is your understanding of the reality of the desk in terms of whether it is existent or not. Right? If this is what we are discussing. Your understanding of the reality of the desk is in terms of its existence. Right? So I say desk is real. So my understanding of a reality is always in terms of existent, non-existent. So one human being is there. Human body is there or not? Yeah, I can see your body, Swamiji. So you are real. You are real. Then I say my horn, head on my horn. Oh Swamiji, it is unreal, tucham. Why? It is non-existent. So, something which is existent, so-called real, something which is non-existent, called unreal. So always our understanding of reality is in terms of existence or non-existence. Could you follow what I am saying? Because mithya word has a lot of connection with that. That is why I am telling you. So there is no object called real, satyam, like this object clip, like that there is no object. But my understanding of the object in terms of reality. And what is that understanding? That understanding is clip is existent, therefore clip is real. Clear? And horn is non-existent, horn is unreal. Clear? So understanding of object in terms of reality, and that also in terms of existence, non-existence. So this is what we say. That now, so human being is existent, and this horn or tail, etc., is non-existent for human being. I mean, and so these terms called real, unreal are not objects, but these are the terms we call them ontological terms. Very beautiful thing it is. Ontological terms means, this is actually, if we want an English word for this, the nature of these two terms, Satya and Mithya, we can help ourselves with this word ontological. So an ontological term always refers to some reality of some object. So that's called ontological term. And what are those ontological terms? Satyam, real, unreal, tucham, mithya. These all words don't denote objects. They denote only understanding of objects and understanding in terms of reality of objects. When you try to understand an object in terms of a reality, then we call word, we use certain word, real, unreal, mithya. All these terms are called ontological terms. And any ontological term reveals not object, but understanding of an object. And understanding of object not in terms of its size, not in terms of its color, not in terms of its purpose. It's our understanding of object in terms of simply reality of the thing. What kind of a reality of that object is. Could you follow? So we have three things as such. Mithya I have not introduced, but one is satyam, other is tucham, other is mithya. These are the terms utilized for the reality of an object, understanding of a reality of the object. And these are the terms, satyam, mithya, etc., are called ontological terms. So, an ontological term always referred to the reality, and from there you will understand that whether it exists or doesn't exist, etc., etc. So, while there is a flower, there is a space, and every other thing, same way there is no object called satyam, there is no object called mithya, there is no object called tucham, nothing like that. It's a simple understanding. Okay, now let's come back again to the desk. If I'm asking if desk is satyam, if I ask you, and you say yes, it's a real. I mean, it is a reality that there is a desk. Then what about the wood, from which the desk is made? What about that? So if the whole thing is a desk, real desk means whole thing is desk, where is the wood? If I ask you, where is the wood? It is outside the desk, is it inside the desk, or it is desk? If it is desk, then you should not use word desk. You should use word wood. Because as per your understanding, you understand what is wood. Just as you understand plastic, just as you understand aluminium, just as you understand any other metal, same way you understand this is a material, wood. Right? So it's not, when you use the word wood, in your mind there is a clear understanding what the wood is. So basically wood is another thing like plastic, etc. And wood is a word, well, for which there is an object called wood. It is there, right? Need not be desk. Even if you go out right now and you see tree, I say, what is that? You said wood. So, of course, you will say tree, like the way here you are using the word desk. There also you may use tree. But I said, but the whole tree is what? You say it's a wood. So you understand what is wood. It's an object. You don't say it's aluminum or something, because no tree is made of aluminum. So you understand. The way you understand word tree, the same way you understand wood also. And you indicate with you indicate one object with two words. That's where the inquiry is. You indicate one object with two words. And for both words, you have an understanding also. You are not using meaningless word. Please understand this. When you say wood, means you know what is the wood is. Just aluminum, etc. You know what the wood is. And when you use the word desk, you definitely know what desk is, because you are not using a word chair for this. So you have understanding of what desk is. You have understanding for what wood is. And still for then definitely two words, and both are meaningful words, then two objects. Right? One object. One object. That's a confusion. Could you follow? Two words, both are meaningful words, and the object is just one. Anyway, so so when you use the word wood, definitely you know what the material wood is. It's not steel, etc. You know everything. And so by the word wood, you are able to appreciate an object which is unique, definitely, compared to other aluminum, other things. And so word wood has also its own object. Word desk has also its own object. This is now the inquiry will start. So we have the object that is known as a wood, and also an object that is desk. But are there two objects or one object? This is the way you go. Because once your understanding of mithya is complete, again the whole thing will go. When you understand and you will arrive at that this is a mithya, afterwards again the same thing will appear in your mind, it is satyam. So the inquiry has to be a proper inquiry. That's how the tattva viveka is there. So right now you may understand that this is mithya. But once, after some time, you will, if I ask you how it is mithya, oh Swami, it has gone. I don't know. So, inquiry, for that you keep a channel. What I am saying is, keep a channel by which you can go and arrive ultimately that this is mithya. That's what I mean. Anyway, so both are meaningful words, and that wood is also object, desk is also object. But are there two objects? If I ask you, you say no. Then let's inquire. What happens? So, suppose you weigh the desk, and you find it is a 40 pounds or something. If 40 pounds of the weight of the desk, is it a weight of the desk, 40 pounds, or it's a weight of the wood? Oh, sorry, it is weight of the wood. Then what is the weight of the desk? Because desk also is an object. Wood also is an object. Desk also is an object. It's not merely it's not like a horn. Horn has no weight, I understand, but desk has a weight. Desk has a weight. Then the 40 pounds is the weight of a desk or weight of a wood. You say it's a weight of wood only. Okay, allot that 40 pounds to wood. Now desk, another object. What's the weight of the desk? Oh, it's a weightless desk. Kya baat hai? How can you say it's a weightless desk? That there is no object called weightless. When you say there is an object, it must have some weight. How can be an object is there and a tangible object, that too, tangible object. So tangible, right? Tangible. If it is non-tangible, it's okay, it's weightless. Well, it will have its own weight, but still, if it is a tangible object, it must have a weight, but I could not find weight. So for wood, there is a 40 pounds, but this desk has no weight. And so there cannot be a zero weight desk. So it should have some weight, but it has no weight at all. Then how we will understand this? That is what the Vedanta is. This is not available in any university. In any sciences, this is not available. They have only two things, either existent, non-existent. There is something in between they don't understand. Something in between. That's the thing. So there is something which is in between. Existent also and non-existent also. At the end, not there is some object which is of this kind of a thing. Everything is this, including the body. We are going to prove it, that everything is existent, non-existent. Existent, non-existent. It is like that. Anyway, so we understand the wood is a reality in this desk, but there is no desk at all really. But we cannot dismiss the desk completely also. Like horn, no weight, Swamiji. Therefore, it's not tangible, it is weightless, zero weight, and it is not there. So, horn goes directly to the category of a non-existent. But desk doesn't go. Right? I have used the word, I have done a transaction, and I have used the word, and I definitely tell also, this is chair, this is desk, that is table, that is this. Therefore, in your understanding, there is a desk. There is some reality of the desk, unlike the reality of horn. Horn and desk both have a zero weight. But desk looks tangible. Horn is non-tangible. Untangible or non-tangible, whatever. Maybe, whatever. Let it be. In your understanding, you have everything. There's no problem. Intangible, correct. Very good. It's intangible, correct. It's intangible. So, horn is intangible, whereas weight is tangible. The desk is tangible. Both are zero weight. Both have a zero weight. So, basically, how should we look at the desk in terms of its reality? Is it Satyam? No. It cannot be Satyam because it has no existence on its own. It has a zero weight and it has no existence on its own, like a man's horn, which is also a zero weight. And the weight of the horn is just zero, it is non-existent. And so extending this, having zero weight means something non-existence we cannot apply to desk. A tangible thing like a desk must have some weight, but it has no weight, and yet it is tangible. Then the tangibility along with the weight has to be given to something else. To what? To the wood. So, definitely the tangibility and the weight belongs to the wood, and there is something for which we'll have to account for. There is something that accounts for the desk, because I cannot dismiss desk at all. Unlike this horn or a tail, I cannot dismiss the desk. Because in my understanding, desk exists. In my understanding, horn doesn't exist. Or tail, human being's tail, does not exist. So I can dismiss. But in my understanding, desk exists without weight, yet tangible. Therefore, tangibility and weight give it to wood. And now the existence of the desk we will have to understand. Could you follow what I am saying? In your understanding, you can dismiss horn as a totally non-existent. But in your understanding, you cannot dismiss this desk. Means it has existence. If you are not able to dismiss desk, means it exists for you, definitely. So this is not a non-existent desk. It is not a existent, self-existent. If it is self-existent, definitely it's the weight of the desk itself is a 40 pound, not the weight of the wood. Weight of the wood is, I said, 40 pounds. But definitely then what is the weight of the desk? If I ask you, we find that it's not there, it's a zero weight. Therefore, desk has not independent existence. Because I take out the wood, desk doesn't exist. And therefore, the tangibility and weight, everything belongs to the wood only. Therefore, it is not self-existent. Please understand. Self-existent means what? It stands on its own. Desk does not stand on its own. Desk stands on the feet of wood, right? I mean, without wood, it cannot exist. Okay, then it is not self-existent. It is non-existent. No. Not it is. You cannot say it is non-existent. Like horn, right? Because you are using and you are telling also that this is desk, this is chair, this is that. Means in your understanding, the existence of desk is there, but it is not self-existent. It is not non-existent. Then what kind of existence? That's the question. If it is not self-existent, okay. Self-existent is a wood, not this, that way. And it is not non-existent also? Yeah. Then still it exists. Means it's a different kind of existence, which is not self-existent, which is not non-existent, yet exist. Well, the reality of, or the understanding of this existence, or understanding the reality of such kind of a existence is called mithya. Not object is mithya, please understand. Understanding of the reality of the desk in this term is mithya. Ontological term, which reveals the reality of desk. Understanding of the reality of the desk. This is called mithya. So what kind of a reality is mithya? First definition now we'll give. So what exists depending upon another thing is mithya. Clear now? What exists depending upon something, another thing is mithya. There is no object called mithya. It's just my understanding of the reality of an object. That's called mithya. And therefore mithya is a ontological term. It's purely cognitive thing. Please understand, it's purely cognitive. By perception, there is nothing mithya, please understand. Perception reveals desk. But your understanding of the reality of the desk is cognitive thing. That's how understanding is there. The word understanding indicates it's a cognitive. Understanding of the reality of the desk is mithya. And that is purely cognitive, not through perception. People have a very difficult understanding. When we say mithya, means they think that this will not be seen at all. Once you understand it is wood, as though the desk somehow melts and into, like the candle, slowly melts. Same way, when your understanding grows of satya and mithya, then this desk slowly start melting, and one day you just see the wood. You see the desk. In your understanding, there is no desk. Or even if it is there, you know the existence of the desk, reality of the desk is not on its own. It is not self-existent. It is on the account of the wood. Wood is self-existent. And it borrows as though existence from the wood and shows the existence. A borrowed existence is mithya. Other way also you can say. Or what exists depending upon another thing is mithya. And that is why you are not able to dismiss, because it is existing. But with a borrowed existence it is. So you are not able to, like a person who is, having a money, you cannot dismiss that he is not a rich person. Like some person is there, you are not able to dismiss him as a poor, as a rich person. Why? Because the money is there with him. So how can you dismiss then? But all money he has from different borrowals from the different banks. Not a single coin he has of his own. Could you follow what I'm saying? So he's a rich person, but basically a dependent. His richness is dependent upon the banks or the people who have given him money or whatever. He cannot stand on his own as a rich person. That's how in society we see also that those kind of people, they look very rich. Everything is there. Cars and everything, all, but nothing of their own. Everything borrowed. In America, there are several, right? These credit cards and all, they wipe out everything, nothing they keep. Anyway, so mithya is a word in your cognition, not in perception. Never. Years and years ago, people try to see mithya. What is mithya, which has been denoted by Acharya of Vedanta, I should not be able to see this thing that way. And that is why they cannot digest. Word mithya starts creating an allergy in the person after few years of listening. After few years of listening, the word mithya creates allergy. It's a purely cognition. You are seeing a desk, but in your understanding of the reality of the desk, there is wood. Wood is satyam, desk is mithya. Ontological terms. Understanding of reality world. Okay, so what is tattva viveka? Understanding what is satyam, what is mithya. Wood is satyam, this desk is mithya. You have done discrimination. Why discrimination? Why? They are two different things, I know. This is one. Yeah, there are two words, two meaningful words. Object is one. Right? Two meaningful words, two objects should be there. No, one. Could you follow what I am saying? As though two have become one, mixed together. Wood and desk, in which wood is satyam, desk is mithya. That is called discriminative inquiry, leading to the knowledge of desk, reality of the desk. Same way self, non-self, it is going to come. Self, non-self. Body and the consciousness. Same thing. Anyway. So, now we'll go to another, we will have to add few aspects in that. In our definition of mithya, we have to add few more things. So for that we have to take another example. From desk we will jump to flower. Can you bring one flower for me? I should have brought it. Near Bhagavan, one flower is there. That single flower I want. Yeah, that yellow or some flower. Yeah, on that book. Yes, right. Correct. Thank you. Now, is this flower real or not? Same way. Is the desk real or not? We have asked. Same way. Is the flower real or not? This is a different kind of inquiry. You say, Swamiji, yeah, it's real. It is existing. In your hand it is right now I'm seeing. It is existent, therefore real. All the time our orientation is in terms of the understanding of our reality is always in terms of existence. Existence and reality goes together. Non-existence and unreal goes together. And therefore, you say it is existing right now and therefore it is real. You have answered. Then I ask, what is this? Petal. See? When it was attached to that, she said flower. What is this? It's a flower, and real flower. When I just removed this, the word has changed. A new word has come. But it is a meaningful word. Petal. Then petal, petal, Abba. With your permission, I don't like, but I have to do it. Petal, petal. Because I have to do fast, right? Otherwise the whole time will go in picking of petals only. All petal, petal, petal. Right? Now let's go to the center of it. And if I pick it up, something I have picked, you will say it is stamen or something else. Or sometimes pollen also may be there. So you say stamen, stamen, or pollen. Let's use another word. Pollen, stamen, pollen. Where is flower? Where is flower? You say real flower is there. Existent. Real. Now, if there is a real flower, please show me where is the flower. Where flower has gone, Swamiji? Unless flower, first you prove that flower is, then we will think of going away of the flower. First you have to prove that something is. Then the question of going away of that thing comes. First prove the isness of flower. Can't. The real flower has become non-existent. Right? See? So we are all big magicians. You say it is there in your hand and I am seeing it is existent, so real flower. Now flower has gone. Now, this beautiful thing in Mithya. Anyway, so unless a flower is there, it cannot go. Because somebody says if flower has gone, unless a flower is there, it cannot go. If it is not there, there is no question of going. That's what it means. So we are questioning the very isness of a flower. And then, well, if isness is not proved, the question of going need not be answered. And still, yet, the person who has told me, what is it, when he said it's a flower, he is not able to accept now that there is no flower. He is not able to accept. In his understanding, still flower is there. He said this Swami has done something. Because the real flower, he has made it as though unreal kind of a thing. Because you are not able to tell me now, where is flower? This also you told flower. This also told petal, 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 stamen, pollen. You have never used a word flower again. Means in your understanding, there is no flower now. The existent flower has though vanished with the first petal came out. I started petal, petal, petal. Then you said stamen, 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 pollen, pollen, pollen. But where is flower? Oh, Swamiji, I can't prove where is it now. It must have gone somewhere. I say flower is first proof, then it's question of going. That you cannot prove. That's the thing. That's another facet in Mithya. That flower is we cannot prove, but you won't accept that there is no flower. You will still feel flower is there. Flower is there. I am not able to prove it, but flower is there. You will say that. Then what kind of a flower it is? You are not able to dismiss. Please understand this. You are not able to dismiss because you cannot prove it non-existent. Could you follow? You are not able to dismiss it. When will you dismiss? You will dismiss only when you prove it is non-existent. So you are not able to prove the non-existence of flower. Because you are in your understanding, still you feel flower is there. Flower is there. I say, show me. He said, I cannot show you, but it is there. Right? It is there. So you are not able to prove the non-existence. Therefore, in your understanding, the existence of flower is there. But still, when you analyze it, you don't find flower. The existent flower as though looks non-existent. Right? That is called mithya flower. I will define, don't worry. First I will show you with the example. Now we'll give it another definition of mithya. The first definition I have given you. So what is mithya? What is put together depending upon various factors is mithya. What is put together depending upon various factors is mithya. So when we say the flower is mithya, we do not dismiss the flower. It cannot be dismissed as a non-existent, but neither it can be taken as a self-existent, otherwise it should be there all the time. But when I remove the parts, then as though the flower disappears. Right? So flower was nothing but all parts put together. All parts, stamen plus pollen plus petals, number of petals, all put together is flower. And when I remove the parts, as though that object doesn't remain. Clear? So, that is called mithya, means what is put together depending upon various factors is mithya. This is beautiful thing. We have to come down to the body for that. Anyway, so it is not a self-existent. Self-existence means it will be all the time there. You cannot come to the term non-existence of flower. Right now it looks that it is not there. But in your understanding still you feel the flower is there. But you are not able to prove. Means now it is not self-existent. Could you follow what I'm saying is? Flower is not self-existent. Like whatever you do, you cannot prove the non-existence of wood. You cannot prove non-existence of wood in that example. Yes, you can prove non-existence of desk in your cognitive understanding that the 40 pounds of the desk is not 40 pounds of the desk, actually it's of the wood, and the tangibility, it looks, tangibility of the desk is tangibility of the wood. Weight and tangibility, everything belongs to wood only. So therefore it is zero weight desk, non-tangible desk means what? It is as though the desk is not there. So the same way here also in case of flower, when it is all put together, you say it is there. But it is not self-existence. As I removed the parts, it has disappeared. Right? So depending upon various factors, what is put together is called mithya. Flower has a status, cognitive status, or in my understanding of the reality of the flower, it is a mithya flower. Could you follow what I am saying? Mithya flower. If it is a totally non-existent like a horn, from the beginning itself you would have told flower is not there. But you said flower is. Existence has been associated with the flower. Reality has been associated with the flower. So it is unlike horn, which was not there from the beginning itself. So it is not non-existent. At the same time, it is not self-existence too. Means satyam. It is not even satyam also. If it is satyam, I cannot negate it. But right now you are not able to show where is flower. You say, all Swamiji, you are giving me all pollens and you are giving me all petals. And I say, please, I am giving you flower. No, Swamiji, you are giving me a bunch of petals. You are giving me a bunch of stamens or pollens. You are not giving me flower. Right? If I give you like this, he said, take flower. He says, Swamiji, tell petals. You don't know English? Anyway, I will teach you. Don't worry. Understand this. This is a very magical thing. Whole world is like this. Whole world, honestly I'm telling you. It's just a magic. Understanding it is magic makes your life wonderful. And if you give a reality to that, well, there is no way to come out also. Whole thing is this discussion is not academic. It is going to transform your life forever. Forever. Understanding mithya as a mithya and a satyam as a satyam will transform the life. Perception wise, everything is same. But the Vedantis and others other ignorant people have a same perception. There is a difference in cognition. In terms of understanding of a reality of the world or of myself or whatever, he has a different understanding of a reality. And well, with that he lives. And therefore, he thinks mithya, he knows mithya is mithya, satyam is satyam. With that discriminative inquiry, he has come down to the level of knowing what is satyam, what is mithya. Atma satyam, tadanyat sarvam mithya. So we are trying to understand mithya now. So, mithya is not self-existent, and definitely being not self-existent, it depends upon another existent thing. Right? It is existent, but not self-existent. We should put this way. It is existent, desk is existent, but not self-existent. So for existent, it depends upon something else, then it is mithya. And in turn, that thing, now we'll have to go ahead. With respect to wood and desk, we have come to the conclusion that desk is existent, correct? So it is real for me. Yes, but it is borrowed existence. And therefore, and the wood is self-existent. Wood does not depend upon something else. Well, your inquiry is not complete. Right? Your inquiry is not complete. With respect to these two things, correct. Wood is self-existent. This is dependent existent. Mithya is dependent existence. And this is self-existent. Correct. But wood itself will have to go ahead. Now, going into the wood will definitely require knowledge of science. What the wood is made up of, it depends upon. We'll go to something else where we can confidently talk about. And that is shirt. I like that Swamiji's example of a shirt. It's a really good thing. Where we can go. So there is no shirt really. Like there is no desk really. So if I take away something from this, then shirt does not remain. If I take away wood, then desk doesn't remain. If I take away something, what is that? Fabric. If I take away the fabric or a cloth, then shirt, jibba, doesn't remain. Right? It doesn't remain. Okay, that's correct. So the shirt is mithya. Shirt is existent, but borrowed existence from the fabric. So shirt is mithya, fabric is satyam. Fabric is self-existent, like wood, self-existent. Please inquire into that. Then you will find that fabric also, for its existence, depend upon something else. Right? Fabric also, relatively we call satyam, but if you inquire into that, that depends upon something else for, and depends on something else for what? For existence. Please understand, we are just talking about all our discussion is regarding existence only. That's what the ontology is. Anyway, so basically the fabric is, then if we inquire, fabric is satyam, no, it is not self-existent, and then it is dependent upon something else. A self-existent does not depend upon something else for existence. It's called self-existent, right? A self-existent thing does not depend upon anything for its existence is called self-existent. But fabric definitely is not satyam or self-existent. It depends upon for its existence on yarn. Yarn, Y-R-N. It depends upon yarn. So shirt is fabric and the fabric is yarn. Desk is wood, that's way. So fabric is yarn. And then yarn becomes satyam and the fabric becomes mithya. When you inquire in for existence, you find something else, then that thing becomes automatically mithya. When you inquire into the desk and you find the wood is self-existent or satyam, the desk automatically becomes mithya. Where in perception, no. In cognition. You will still use it as a desk. Calling it mithya. Calling it mithya, you will use desk only. He said, you are telling me wood. O Vedanti, O Swami, you are telling me it is wood only. Then instead of desk, I am going to give you chair. For you, ultimately, everything is wood. Then I will give you a chair. You put it here and for keeping the book and talk. I say, no, I want desk. I want desk only. Then why you both are the same? It's also wood, this also wood. And for you, desk does not exist, only wood exists. Then I'm giving you that. No, it won't work. This. So mithya has something else also. We'll have to talk about. But anyway, so yan becomes satyam, and then fabric becomes mithya, and there is no such thing as yan. Then if you untwist, yarn has that all twisted threads in that. And so if you untwist the threads, well, the whole thing becomes fibers. And so what is satyam? Fiber is a satyam. Fiber is satyam, yarn is mithya. Yarn is satyam, fabric is mithya. Fabric is satyam, shirt is mithya. Clear now? Because everyone gives, when we inquire, they give away the existence to something else. Then that becomes what gets an existence is a satyam. And one loses the existence. Well, it is mithya. It appears that it is existent, but when you inquire, the existence goes to something else. And this becomes as though non-existent. It's an appearance then. That's mithya. Could you follow? And we can go on saying that fiber also is mithya, molecules are satyam, and then molecules are mithya, atom is satyam, and it's how the nucleus is satyam, particle is satyam, etc., etc. What is satyam ultimately? What is satyam? What is satyam? Which is self-existent, right? Which is self-existent. So you should inquire of a thing to the extent that ultimately you cannot get something else for existence. Like yarn, of course, when we inquire, we found that it is basically giving away the existence to the fiber. Fibers, yeah. So then when we inquire into the fibers, well, we found molecules are existent, fiber is not. Fiber gives away the existence to the molecules. So ultimate substance should be such which is existent and which cannot give away the existence to something else. That is called self-existent. That is satyam. Could you follow what I am saying? That is self-existence. And everything other than that, everything is mithya. So suppose in case of a shirt, suppose we have found the X thing which you cannot further analyze, which you cannot further inquire into for existence. There is nothing which can, is available for taking away the existence from the particles, etc. Let's say that some X thing is there, and it exists on its own, which cannot give away the existence to something else. Then the X thing is self-existent, that is satyam. And other than that, whatever were there before, all mithya. Shirt mithya, yarn mithya, fiber mithya, molecules mithya, atoms mithya, particles mithya. Then we got some X thing, suppose X thing. Well, it is not giving away the existence. It says, I exist on my own. Yarn doesn't say. Yarn says, I am existing. I say, I am going to inquire. And then he says, sorry, I am giving away my existence to something else. Could you follow? And therefore this X thing which exists on its own, well, that is satyam, other than whatever there before, all mithya. So X satyam, tad anyat sarvam mithya. Could you follow what I am saying? That X, whatever it may be, is satyam, tad anyat sarvam. Anyat sarvam means like shirt and yarn and fiber and molecules and all mithya. This is how it is. And it says here, the self is Satyam, or Atma is Satyam. That X thing is nothing else, it is Atma. That's a revelation of this science. Veda tells, scientists cannot tell that. Scientists can go to a point, then it says, yes, last thing is the energy. They will say, energy is a thing. Because energy gets converted to matter and matter gets converted, and therefore whatever you are looking into, particle also you can go ahead, divide and for existence you find something else. But that is also matter, and that's convertible from energy. So energy is a final thing. Energy is self-existent. Any other thing, any matter is mithya. But we say matter also gets converted to energy, just as energy gets converted to matter. Then what is Satyam? Right? That says that is self-existent. Because I'm right now on the behalf of that. I'm a matter, but I'm on the behalf of energy. I'm a transformed form of the energy only. Then we ask energy, it says, no. I get converted into this from the matter. Well, interconverted. So there is no final answer. What I'm saying is, final answer is here. Atma Satyam. Anything you inquire ultimately goes to Atma. That is Satyam. And before that, whatever the steps were there in the process of inquiry are all mithya. Right? Mithya means appearance. Or existent but dependent existence. Or put together ultimately. Put together. Various parts put together and appear. Existent is basically mithya. Now how Atma is Satyam, etc., we'll see tomorrow. That's the whole thing. It's going to come because Atma is defined in the next, this is a text topic. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.